I doubled my focus.
All right, and we are back once again. 2 weeks. Hard to believe it's gone by, and it's been a little. Good to see you, Tim, as always,
Likewise.
and good to see our viewers as always. Now, it's been a kind of a quiet 2 weeks. I was worried we'd have some news, but we got our heads together and we came up with some interesting things to talk about and some news. So let's start out with what you brought to share with us. I'm so glad I have you as my friend and partner because look at this. This is awesome.
Yeah, thank you. So my friend and colleague at Omdia, Alex Adam, good grief, can't get his name right, Adam Holtby, who leads up our workplace transformation intelligence service. He has a future of work survey that we send out on an annual basis. And he shared with me some very interesting facts here. And it got me thinking about friends, colleagues, people that have been told they must go back to the office and others that have got it's up to them, or it's up to them to discuss with their manager. So this information is sort of talking about leaders. In 44% of all businesses, leaders will mandate the on-site return to the office. And then if I scoot over here, 54% of businesses actually have a choice as to where they decide with their manager or by themselves where they do their best work. And it sort of gives me some sort of I've been interested in this sort of difference between disaster recovery and business continuity. So for me, a lot of businesses think of a disaster as it might be a cyber attack. And how do we restore our business? How do we go back if we develop a virus, how do we go back to normal? So there's this sort of react stage. So if you look at, on that side of our, there we go, up there, you've got this react stage, and it could be a volcano in Iceland going off that calls a halt to international flights, if you remember that far back, or it could be a snow day, or it could be, I don't know, a natural disaster, a threat of some description, or a global pandemic. Let's hope there's not another one anytime soon.
I'm having flashbacks to my personal experience, Katrina, because we didn't have any recovery thing.
Yeah.
The law firm I worked out of, it fell apart.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, these can be existential threats that come out of the middle of nowhere. So that you go through these sort of three phases. You go through a react phase. So how do you sort of respond to the event, and how do you mitigate its impact? How do you soften the blow? How do you make sure your employees, systems and tools are up and running in the best way that they can? You don't want to close the business for three weeks, 3 months, 3 years. Then you go through that recovery stage. So how do you sort of get a sense of normality between yourselves, your partners, and your clients? And then you've got this opportunity of reinvention. So I have a feeling there's a number of businesses out there whose business models have significantly changed since the pandemic. So if I look at, in the UK, for example, a number of grocery stores and curbside pickups and the way in which you can order groceries online, that's changed their business model. They've actually had the opportunity to reinvent themselves. I'm sure there's other businesses that have just gone back to the good old ways. And I'm not sure that all of them are good. They're certainly old, but you get this almost like a once in a lifetime opportunity to reinvent yourself and create opportunity for the future. And I'm not really convinced that there's those many organizations that have done that.
They need to be bolder. I'm a little disheartened. I had expected this number. I wanted that number, that 44%. I wanted it to be 5% or less. I wanted, I'm not saying no one should work on site. I didn't like the idea of it being mandated. I wanted it to be, I'm going to work today because there's something I really need to do at the office. That I love. I was hoping it would be 5%. I was expecting, if you had made me guess, I was expecting 30% because there's other forces to bear here. There are people who make money by people being in offices. There are very powerful forces who own a lot of office real estate. And there's egos of CEOs, and there's people who just have different opinions about what productivity means. So I expected 30%. 44% is a little disheartening, but still, it's not. I mean, 5 years ago it was 100%. It was 99%. So this is we're still in a new world. Just not the
We
world
are.
I
And
wanted.
if you think about it, there's also different use cases, of course. So you've got different groups of employees. You can't have, if you've got a frontline worker, for example, that's working on a building site or working in a hospital or in a store somewhere, obviously they've got to work on site. But you've got a number of information workers and knowledge workers that don't. You have
Yeah.
people, a lot of diverse teams split across geographies and time zones that don't need to be in a central location just to take a WebEx or a Teams or a Zoom call with colleagues around the world. And of course, that begs the question, if you want to have the wholesale return to the office, why do we have so many satellite offices? Why aren't we all in one great big global HQ if it's important to everyone get around the water cooler, or we can't communicate or collaborate efficiently because we're not in the same geography? So there's a lot going on.
Why were these companies so productive and profitable even during the pandemic? I mean, yeah, obviously there's ways to get her. I'm not saying no one should ever go to the office again, but the we have to be there thing just doesn't work for me. I'm beating myself over the head now because I don't have this clip available, but I saw this clip earlier in the week that has been just been killing me. It's really been upsetting me, and it ties in exactly what you're saying. It's the CEO of the company that owns WebMD, and he's in front of a green screen, making it look like he's at the office. Hello, talking about how it's so important to be at the office. So okay, maybe maybe that's not hypocrisy. Maybe that's just how you shoot a video. But the fact that he's not at the office and he's talking, and a few other back and forth with other execs talking about, now that we're after the pandemic and da da da. CEO floaty rhetoric that who knows what he's talking about. And then he gets to the point. So it's time to get back to the office, and we're not asking. It was, and I'm not saying his tone was he was saving a "we're not asking you, we're telling you" tone. His words, like that's a quote. We're not asking, and I was like, I don't want to work for that type of person. I don't want to work for that type of firm. And it gave me a bad feeling about WebMD. I'm like, I'm just going to call my doctor if I have a weird spot on my arm. I don't need to ask WebMD to tell me to call my doctor if something weird's happening. I really got such a bad taste in my mouth from the whole thing. And I feel so bad for those employees because most people are in a position where they can say, well, I don't like this. I'm going to find out. They're going to be like, okay, I guess I'm going back to the office. This is my life now. I'm going to sit in the office when it could be at home. So
You know
that
what,
upset me.
with the global, yeah, I mean, that's building on that, David. If you think about it, it's a balancing act between the global competition for talent and providing a good working space for good, talented employees, and also the battle of wills with the leadership in the return to the office. And I think there's a lot of people saying, look, if it worked during the pandemic, why isn't it working now? And the other interesting perspective as well is, let's have a look at some of our vendors. So is it in vendors' interests to have a wholesale return to the office? There's an awful lot of revenue still attached to hardware, IP phones, conference systems, et cetera, et cetera. So is it in their interest to promote the wholesale return to office? Arguably, for some vendors it is. For others, maybe not so. Maybe for the ones that aren't wedded to hardware revenues, it's not. But I'm reminded that Microsoft Places, which was meant to be this opportunity for people to book desks, reserve desk space, conference rooms, etc., that was meant to be released last year, and it hasn't been released. Zoom have got a great reservation system. I don't actively hear them promoting it. Cisco WebEx, I know with some devices you can use, I think it's Cisco Room Navigator, and reserve some of the high-end desk systems in that way. Logitech, Crestron, others have got desk-based reservation systems, but I still think there's a number of businesses out there that still battle with this problem when they go into the office. You've either got like the Mary Celeste with tumbleweeds blowing through the office where people are looking around thinking, where is everyone? Or you've got people trying to fight for desks, not finding a desk space and having to go to a nearby coffee shop to work, or in the canteen or the restaurant. It's not optimal for productivity, and we need to fix this as an industry.
And it's a strange situation because a lot of times we have this problem, and the technology, the solution, the vendors just aren't there with the solution. And unfortunately, a lot of times we have the opposite problem where the vendors have the solution and there's just no problem for the. I have no one to sell this to. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. It works magical. There's no problem it solves. Here we have the problem. We have multiple solutions from multiple vendors, and they're good. We've sat through demos, and all the analysts are going, "Ooh, our eyes lighting up." We're like Willy Wonka kids at the chocolate factory. When is this out? Is this available for your customers? This is the coolest thing. Can I take pictures? And for some reason, where it's not going off. Unless it's happening and
Yeah.
we just don't know about it. Maybe we're just not being briefed. Maybe Zoom and Microsoft will tell us we have 5,000 customers using this now, and we just don't know about it. But I'm not hearing it.
No, and you highlight an interesting thing there, David, as well. It's the weapons of mass distraction. So at the moment, we're all jumping on the generative AI bandwagon, all getting excited, and we're not at the moment thinking about the current business problems that we've got and how do we fix those. I just have a feeling that Gen AI will slip silently into the background and we'll be really impressed by the additional features and functionality it offers. This topic will disappear with all its acronyms like LLMs and training data and this, that, and the other. It'll all slip back into the back of people's minds once the functionality comes out. But we're not solving for the business problems that we got today, and those problems are widespread.
Yeah, I mean, I can make a rough analogy to video. In the early days of video, just the fact that it worked was so amazing, and we were so focused on the different types of video and what protocols, and that's what I spent all my time writing about. And it was really interesting, but it was hard to use. And then just became videos not even a product anymore. It's a feature. No one cares what protocol we're using. It's just, and hopefully in a few years that's what AI will be. It's just, I won't think AI helped me that. I'll just think this is how I write my emails now. Just be
Yeah,
part of.
yeah, yeah, you're right. Think about WebRTC and all of the wonderful stuff that we had to explain there. It's a great technology. Look at voice over IP, where you sort of think about quality of service and how you have to. I think it's the TOS packet in one of the packets you have to flag for priority so that voice and video get priority over data. All of that stuff slips into the background. We don't care. We pick up the phone, we get tone, we speak to someone. We switch on a webcam, we switch on a conference unit, we get to video with someone. Gen AI, oh, look, it's done an intelligent meeting summary. It's captured my action points. Isn't that fantastic? So let's not get distracted by the technology, as wonderful as it is, but let's think about the features, the functionality, the added advantages that it actually brings to us.
But Tim, it's so shiny and distracting. How could I not get distracted? Actually, I don't think I have any videos up that are just about ChatGPT, but I think I want to make one. Because I see all these videos about ChatGPT for work and creative people, and I think my sister can use it to help manage the kids' baseball team and stuff. You know what I mean? I want to give some examples of that. So I want to do like ChatGPT for my family video, But yeah, it's hard to avoid. It's shiny, it's distracting, it's fun. But you're right. We're paying a little too much attention to it. There are some AI in contact center. That I have to say, that's real. That's now. That I love. I'm all in 100%. But a lot of the other applications, I'm with you. Let's focus on what we need now, and we do need the contact center stuff now. I'm still not having good contact center experiences. Help me out.
No, and moving back to that slide, that reinvention slide, where people start optimizing for what we need to do now and in the future. If you look at the contact center space, the actual way in which we interact with those sort of agents is now changing. Email, oddly enough, is and maybe next week I should bring up our state customer experience survey data
Sure.
up there and show you what sort of channels are most prevalent. Email is number one. It's not voice
Really?
anymore. Yeah. So you start looking at this sort of things and think, well, yeah,
Okay.
maybe because people are interacting on mobile devices, they're not sitting in front of PCs anymore. I want to go onto a web app. I want to send an email. I want to use social media. The last thing I want to do when I'm driving, of course, is phone someone. I'm
like the
very happy
phone.
for a bot to handle things if they can, but in an emergency, please let me speak to an agent. These dynamics have changed.
I'm thinking from my own personal experience of contact center experience last year. How many have been on the phone? How many have been through the little chat bubble on the website? How many have been through email? And anecdotal, obviously, just me, but I think the emails are rising, and I think they're better because you have the trail. I hate email for just about everything, but sometimes it works well for this. Um,
Yeah.
so let's go on. We have a couple of news items. The first one I want to talk about is hello to our little website. Twitter. It says X, but it's Twitter. I don't know why it says X up there. Is launching audio video calls on Android. Now, in a normal world, if it wasn't for what's happened over the last year, I would say, oh, I can see that making sense because there's some Twitter users who DM. I use Zoom chat and messages and other chats. I don't use a lot of Twitter, but there's a couple of people that I DM with. And if you're having a back and forth conversation and, hey, let's press the video button and talk, rather than, hey, let me get you on FaceTime, one less click. Okay, that makes sense. But in the context of everything else that's going on here, I just can't get on board.
No, it almost feels like X or Twitter is trying to become more WhatsApp-like, more Messenger-like, or what have you. So I can see where they're trying to get to in terms of building a sense of community around certain things. But I'm not sure. Is it? Are they overstretching? Are people going to use it for voice and video? I don't know. Who's listening?
Yeah, that's another thing. It's privately owned by someone that not everyone trusts. It's definitely questionable. He definitely wants to make it an everything app. He wants to make it a banking app. This has been his vision all along. I read a story. It was amazing when he was CEO of PayPal, and he wanted to change the name of PayPal.com to X.com. He got X and make it an everything website. This has been his dream way before Tesla, way before SpaceX or anything else like that. And the rest of the board members and the rest of the executive team were like, "You're crazy. PayPal's a verb. eBay is offering us $100 million for it right now. We can't change the name of it. It's the most successful company brand name of the decade. Come on, not you, but I mean." And he was insistent. We're changing the name to X. I don't care about the value of the PayPal brand. And he got outed as CEO. And it was really personal. It was a big deal. It was a whole drama thing. I'm surprised it's not a Netflix thing about it. And ever since then, he's been looking to build his X. And Twitter had a gazillion users. He never really wanted Twitter. He wanted all the users to build X on it. And then I'm getting into it, but he destroyed Twitter, which was really good. I followed my celebrities that I liked from child. I was following Stephen King. I used to read his books when I was in high school. I loved him. And he'd be like, I'm listening to a Bruce Springsteen song. I'm having a good day. And it'd be like, Stephen King's having a good day listening to Bruce Springsteen. That's what Twitter was about. And now Stephen King's not on Twitter anymore. No one good is. So
what I'm thinking about here, David, is maybe Mr. Musk is trying to commercialize or commoditize, but increase the commercial capabilities of X in the same way that WhatsApp for Business, you've got a channel there so you can connect B2C. Maybe, this is a new potential move into the contact center space where you can do some sentiment analysis and reach out directly using real-time communications to people that have flamed your brand or people that have experienced a problem booking a flight, or I'm sat here and, you've canceled my flight to Dallas. What am I going to do? And they can reach out and speak to you directly. I can see the commercial opportunity there. It has got potential, but yeah, it's an interesting move. Very interesting move.
Yeah, and he's definitely thought of it, and then he's definitely where he's heading. He's not dumb, that's for sure. He's not a dumb man, and he is.
I wish you could make millions by being dumb. I should be a billionaire by now.
Yeah. Although he's lost so much money on Twitter, but he is. He's definitely looking for all sorts of ways to monetize. This is not a free feature. You only get this if you're paying for premium. So, all right, is that enough about our friend Elon?
I think so.
Okay. Let's move on to the next story. If I could find my mouse here. Here we go.
This break is brought to you by Adobe Photoshop. Here's a fun fact. Every day, millions of people around the world use...
Sorry about that. And that's part of the story, by the way. We're going to get to that. But first, let's look at the news itself. Google Meet adds new backgrounds, filters, and introduces studio lighting. So I'm just seeing Maybelline all over the place. Is that how you're perceiving this?
I think I am. I mean, it's really encouraging that everyone is thinking about video and you need to have backgrounds. And a lot of this was born out of reaction during the pandemic because we didn't all have home offices. You know, there were people working off their kitchen tables, working off their bedrooms. You didn't necessarily want to see a pair of socks hanging on the bed when someone's videoing their manager. You know, so a lot of this was born out of functionality and features, but I do wonder whether or not we're going a little bit too far. Great to be beautifully framed. I hope I'm doing the best that I can in my small home office here. In fact, you know, I wouldn't want to go into our London offices to use a video conference call to do that because it's a good 2.5 hour commute. So it's great and encouraging that they're doing this. But yeah, it does feel as if perhaps Google Meet is playing a bit of catch up here. Yeah, let's start innovating in ways that mean things for people and not just nice to haves. Let's start dealing with the must haves rather than the nice to haves.
And you know, first I'll say to try to keep it balanced and say something nice before I get mean. Yeah, in defense of this kind of stuff and backgrounds in particular, my cousin's a teacher. And she said when the pandemic hit, she was worried because some of her students have a lot of nice, expensive toys behind them on the shelf when they get on Zoom, and some of them might not. And they were able to, and either one might get embarrassed by it. You know, either one might be like, I don't want my friends to know what's on my shelves. And they all use virtual backgrounds. They were all on the moon, or they're all in Disneyland. They're all happy, and it just took that out of the equation. That being said, you know, I'm happy to have these if it makes people happy, more comfortable using video. These are great new features. Like you said, this isn't what they need to be focusing on now. But my rant is the way that I learned about this as an analyst in the industry is from the Indian Express, which is a website from across the world that when you open it plays music or ads at you without you clicking on the ads first. By the way, if my website ever does that, let me know immediately. That is not allowed to happen. There's videos on my website. You have to click. I don't like sound coming out of my computer unless I click play on something. That's not okay. I should not have learned about it this way. You should not have learned about it from me sharing this link with you. What's going on here? Let's forget about that. We should have learned about it by sitting in a briefing with the Google analyst team. And I should have looked at the meeting list, and I should have seen Dave Michaels and Dave Smith and Rupam and Phyllis and Kevin and all my friends in there. And that's how we should have learned about it. And the world should have learned about it from all of our blogs and from this show and stuff like this. The fact that the world is not learning about this at all, and I'm learning about it because I'm seeking out the information because it's my job to know this stuff, from the Indian Express is a problem. I'm not being a diva here. Google, if they want me to do anything, we're not going to solve your problem for you, but part of the solution is talking to us.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I think a lot of vendors now are sort of thinking the way in which IT buyers make their buying decisions is by, you know, all they need to do is to look at search engine optimization, type it into Google, and there will be a sponsored link from someone saying, here's the best unified communications platform that you need to click on here. You know, enterprises don't buy like that. They might do that. They'll do some primary research. They'll go out. They'll obviously do their own research, their own first party research by checking out Google. They'll go to analyst firms to see what the views and opinions they've got. They might look at the Omdia Universe, Gartner Magic Quadrant, Forrester Wave, whatever, to have a short list. But just to release these features in some online web sort of news feed is a very bizarre way of doing it.
Now it's possible
not, it's
to be
not
fair,
optimal.
You know, I'm one of the smaller analysts. Maybe you know, afterwards some people could say, David, they talk to Rupam every day. You know, it's just you that you're not. You know, maybe they are talking to some of the more established, but I'm not seeing it. I don't think so. I don't see them having analyst event. I mean, am I missing it? If it is just me, that's okay. I could take the ego hit. But I really think I think they need to do a better job communicating with the analyst community in general.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Because as we move into this agile world of monthly cycles of software, you get these little features every now and then that may or may not make a difference. It's very difficult as analysts to keep up with it. I'm not sure that AR, really understand or appreciate the importance of engaging with us on these additional features and functionality. And sometimes the only opportunity you get to sort of have a real view of what is coming down the line is vendor event. Is events like Enterprise Connect. Industry events where you get to see this and get to experience a keynote.
Yeah, and if you listen to shows like this, not just us, but any other analysts in the industry, when you start talking about UC players, they immediately say, well, Zoom's doing this, and Microsoft this, and Cisco's doing this. And if Google comes up at all, it's as an afterthought. You're just not on our minds because you're not talking to us. And that's definitely not just me. Because I watch and listen to everyone else. No one else is talking about Google. And it seems like it's a shame because I use Gmail. If this was a good product, it might make a lot of people's lives easier. I'm sure tons of people are using Google Meet just because they got into like a Microsoft position where people are going to use their stuff no matter what. But I think that's enough on that. I hate to end on such a negative note. Is there anything else we could talk about? Any good news before we?
The days are getting longer. The sun's coming out, David. I'm trying to think what else.
I got
Enterprise Connect, of course.
That's coming up. On a personal note, I'm not going to ISE, but one of my sponsors, I can't say who, recorded a video with me yesterday with a new product announcement. So there'll be a product announcement on this YouTube channel on Let's Do Video website from I don't want to get in trouble. A big booth vendor. I could say that. A vendor with a big booth. Some really cool new stuff. So keep your eye on this channel. The recording went really well. I'm really happy about it.
Look forward to seeing that. Thank you, David.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Tim. Always great to hang out with you. And thanks, everyone, for watching. Have a great weekend.